What's going on, everybody? Mortem here, this time bringing you some more things you may have missed from Divinity Original Sin 2, and this is part 4. So before we jump into anything at all, just to be clear, there will be some spoilers for the game in this part, so, maybe don't watch it if you don't want them. So hopefully, if I've done this well, you will have not heard of all of these interactions, but with that out of the way, let's jump into it. So first up, we have the ring that you can find in Brachus Rex's treasury on Trompdoi. Trompdoi is kind of an annoyance throughout that treasury, and finding the treasury itself is just kind of part of Act 1, really. There's a variety of ways you can do it, but there's a cursed ring that Trompdoi has, and when you put it on, it's cursed, it causes your character some debuffs, and that ring kind of serves as a small tutorial for the Bless skill, which removes curse. So after all that's done and taken care of, you might be tempted to just throw it away, because it's pretty useless. I would highly recommend you keep this ring, otherwise known as the actual Band of Brachus, because if you present it to the gargoyle that guards the gate to the maze that leads to Brachus Rex's tower on the island, it will actually let you skip this little maze portion entirely. You can just present the ring, the gargoyle recognizes you as Brachus and just lets you skip this entire little puzzle, which if you had thrown the ring out or just put it somewhere, you wouldn't know. So next up we have my personal favorite, the Idol of Rebirth. So I actually have a video about the Idol of Rebirth specifically. You can get it in Act 2 as soon as you have access to the town of Driftwood. You'll need to make your way to the Under Tavern, which is the basement of the tavern, and find a woman named Dorita, I don't know. Anyway, she has a small quest. She'll ask you some questions, and you need to pick the chrysalis option when she asks you said questions, and then you need to go meet her. So when you meet her, it turns out that she's actually like a were-spider, but afterwards, she'll give you the Idol of Rebirth. Now, what is this? Why is it important? Why is it amazing? So the Idol of Rebirth, if it is charged up, thus being a glowing Idol of Rebirth, it will instantly resurrect the character holding it if they die, which is already pretty awesome. But then you add in the fact that recharging the Idol of Rebirth only costs 1 action point and can be done in combat, compared to a regular Scroll of Resurrection's 3 action points. You've essentially removed most of your fear of death. Moreover, you can actually get 2 of these if you're crafty about it, through pickpocketing. Now, you can watch my video about the Idol of Rebirth if you want more info than that, but it is honestly just an amazing item. Now, next up we have Enchanting. So this is something I've found personally that a lot of people are unaware of, and to be fair, the game does not tell you about it. You can actually sort of enchant all of your items, and there's a bit of a set table to it. Again, this is actually something I've made a video about. But basically, all of the eternal artifacts that are literally labeled Eternal Artifact that can be found around the game, you'll find the most of them in Act 3 though, can actually be used to enchant your weapons and armor and stuff, so just combine the Eternal Artifact with it and it'll add extra properties and things. Again, check out the video I've already made if you want more detail than that, but it is a very great way to give yourself an extra edge, especially on Tactician or Honor mode. Next up, we have a bit of a confusing one. So, the tree on Blood Moon Island, if you do that quest, you'll find out that the tree is actually an ancestor tree, and it used to be an elf named Elianessa. Interestingly enough, you probably wouldn't realize this if you've only played Divinity Original Sin 2, but Elianessa is a recurring character, or at least probably. Why do I say that? Well, the original Elianessa was actually in the very first Divinity game, Divine Divinity. The main protagonist of Divine Divinity is actually Lucian himself, though we don't know that at the time. There is an elf in part of the game that can be romanced in a way. This elf is Elianessa, at least probably. Now, the reason I say probably is because in Divine Divinity, Elianessa's name is spelled 2 different ways in different areas, which right there is just a typo, right? However, Elianessa crops up again in Divinity 2, the Dragon Knight Saga, not as a character, but we can find items that supposedly belonged to Elianessa that are named as such, and even the description mentions it. And we find out in Original Sin 2 that the elf that came to Blood Moon Island that became Elianessa was more than likely that elf. Though, to be fair, I can't beyond the shadow of a doubt confirm it, but given that this name keeps cropping up, I think it's very probable that that is who it is meant to be. Which would make sense because we don't see what happened to Elianessa, and as Lucian's lover, you think that would be important. And then last, for our 5th item on this particular list, the 3rd act of the game, the Nameless Isle, requires you in large part for the act to find entry into the Academy of the Seven. Now, if you follow the quests, this is a very kind of long-winded quest of sorts where you have to figure out how to get into the academy, which can be circumvented a few different ways. For starters, if you just know what to do already, you can just, of course, go open the door and solve the puzzle. However, the more exploration-bound might actually just find a secret entrance and bypass the entire thing as well as all the quests. So if you go to where Zorlstice's shrine is, you can find a bunch of broken up land to kind of the east of you. And if you have the appropriate skills, you can just navigate all these broken little islands. And at the very top of them, you'll find a secret little tunnel. And that tunnel is actually a back entrance to the academy that lets you skip basically the entirety of Act 3 and bring you directly into the academy, letting you skip a significant portion of content if you're like speedrunning it or something. So there you go, guys. There is this episode of 5 Things You May Have Missed in Divinity Original Sin 2. I certainly hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly hope there were some things on the list you didn't know about. If so, by all means, let me know down in the comments section below. But in the meantime, truly, just thank you so much for watching. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.